Well, the Season 22 expansion brought us Masque Sacré and Rova Mpanyaka. And several seasons on, at the top of the table are Rova Mpanyaka and Masque Sacré. Admittedly, it's the top of the second division of the minor league, but nevertheless, certainly some serendipity in that fact. Hello, everyone. I am Metafiction. Today we are nearing the halfway point of the Division 2 season. And as I say, Rova currently leading the charge for that automatic promotion spot, or at least what would normally be that automatic promotion spot. Again, promotion a little bit different this season, if I'm not mistaken. There's a thread, of course, at the URL in your bottom right, forum.simulationsoccer.com, to explain this coming season's expansion process as far as it relates to promotion and relegation. But enough about that. For the moment, it looks like it's going to be Cairo City and Athens to start us off. Cairo with that asymmetrical 4-3-3. Athens, of course, with a 4-3-3 of their own, it looks like. And as I said, Rova at the top of the table, Masks in second. Cairo did put up a pretty robust title challenge last season. Ultimately fell short, but will be looking to try and get back in that conversation this season. There's a slow start at the Tomb of Doom, but here we have Yo Jiang just take the corner kick for Cairo, and that's headed wide. Jiang Dweek to Ao, and Stitcherson with the interception. And now Bailey coming forward. Staple very much offside. Or not. It looked like he was offside, but the ball caroms back to Ron Wintz, and Athens have the opener in shocking fashion here. Let's look at this again. I could have sworn Staple was offside. Indeed, he was. And not by a small margin. Well, Yupankwi blocked the initial shot, but Wintz able to come back. And that defies explanation to me. I do not understand how that was not called for offside, but nevertheless, Athens 1, Cairo 0. And here come Athens again. Staple lays it off to Wintz. They are getting forward in good numbers on the break. Wintz squares it, and Staple nearly had a second. Stitcherson with the corner kick. It's back out to Munoz. Bailey takes the shot. And Yupankwi with another good save. Stitcherson sends it far post this time. That's headed on. And another corner, this time on the other side. Munoz will deliver. Lifted into the air. And it falls to Ao for the clearance. Now it's Zola at the other end. Rebuffed back out to Atzola. Finds Dweek on the edge of the area. Takes the shot. Eric Dweek, from the assist by Baptiste Atzola, has leveled it for Cairo. Well, let's look at that again. That corner was headed back. Diving header by Mekazilla. But a good pass by Atzola to find the open player. And Dweek just drilling it. Past Enbach, the keeper. So Cairo have leveled the scoreline here, 1-1 in the first half. Now Yo Jiang as Cairo attempt again. Greer takes the shot. Juliet Greer fires it in, and all of a sudden, Cairo up 2-1. Well, they'll have been upset at conceding in such an odd fashion. And they've shown it here. Yo Jang able to turn and find the open Greer. And that's a great finish. So 2-1 as Cairo immediately assert control. But Athenai, not to be outdone, have another corner of their own. Lifted in far post, and Yupanqui leaps up to grab it. Jaeger brings down the long ball. Greer nicks the back pass, though, in behind the defense, and it took a deflection from the keeper. Enbach had to absolutely stretch to get to that one. Stone, and they are offside. Yo Jang. Heading back inside, lays it off to Unshark, and a diving save by Enbach, who is now under heavy fire. Dusk. Grizz brings it under control. Dusk sending it back to Yupanqui. Grizz forced out wide by Wintz, now back inside. Smith, through ball, and Stone just gets that completely wrong. It was a great chance, and then the finish just let it off. Well, we're getting close to halftime, and Cairo holding on to their 2-1 lead. Athenai had some really good chances early on, but Cairo storming back, and now Yo Jang sends in this corner that's headed down. It looked like Dusk was going to get that by Enbach, but nothing doing. So that is going to be halftime. Athenai had that early goal. It looked like it might have been offside, but the referee allowed it. That was the opening goal, but then Cairo City storming back to take the lead. Cairo with most of the momentum going into the half, but can Athenai seize it back? Should be a very enthralling final 45 here. Teams making their substitutions as we speak. As Ofusu makes their way onto the pitch, replacing Smith. And Esposito and Lorenzo on for Athenai, replacing Bailey and Jaeger. Will these changes have a significant effect on the match? Time will tell. As Athenai passing amongst their defense here. Gavgard now up the line. Yo Jang with a corner for Cairo. Delivers near post. Ducks flicks it on, and Bodie Grizz puts it away. Well, that is textbook set-piece execution. Let's look at it again. Jang, Dusk with the flick on, and Grizz. Munoz completely caught unawares as Grizz rises up to head that past the keeper, who just can't do anything about it. Very well played. Free kick for Athenai from Stitcherson. It's headed out, Mann gets to it. Plays the 1-2 into the box. A good block from Ao. Mann still with it. Resolute in possession as Stitcherson Crosses in, and that's a great finish from Jonathan Munoz. A deft opposite post finish that completely fooled Yupanqui. And it came off that low cross of Stitcherson. What a move by Munoz to redirect that completely out of reach of the keeper. Now it's a free kick for Cairo. Grizz takes a long shot, and that goes into the crowd. Ayo rolls into the box and dispossessed by Munoz. A perfect tackle there, and now Athenai on the break. They have numbers. Here's Staple, brought down. But Athenai still with it. Stitcherson. Chipped forward, and Yupanqui able to snuff it out. Not a tight enough angle to get anything on that, and the ball sent along the other way. Zilla. Skovgaard up to man, who chips it forward. Staple in behind. Staple takes the shot, and another great save. And Staple was offside. Enbach back to duck, or forward to duck, rather. Esposito was being closed down there by the Cairo forwards. Good resilience under pressure here by Athenai, as here comes Esposito. Takes a long shot, and, well, let's just say that wasn't exactly on target. Less than 20 minutes to play, and it is a very tight affair. Cairo City have the edge on the score sheet, but Athenai with a lot of momentum. And only one goal behind, as here's Esposito, lays it off for Stitcherson. Munoz now. Munoz forces a save. And now it will be a corner to Athenai. Stitcherson to deliver. Floated into the far post, and Yupanqui claims it. Wintz off the throw-in takes the shot, and another save by Yupanqui. Stitcherson over the corner, floats it in. Up in the air, Skovgaard forward, and Staple can't get it. Momentum all in Athenai's favor as it stands. Here's Munoz. Far post, falls to Lorenzo, and that's deflected behind for a corner. And that's flicked away by Ayo. Staples still with it. Less than 2 to play plus added time. If they've got a miracle, they'll need it now. And nothing comes of that corner. Unshark for Cairo. Loses out to Wintz. Now Lorenzo. Do they have one more counter? Grizz mops up, but Staple takes possession. Athenai trying to get players forward. Lots of Cairo players back. Here's Mann. Squares it to Esposito. Tito Esposito at the death, leveling it for Athenai. My goodness, what a break. Staple found Mann out on the edge of the area, who cut it back for the late arriving Esposito. What a finish. It's a heartbreaker for Cairo, but for Athenai, you have to think it's just about deserved. Now Grizz on the free kick. Falls for Greer. Shot, blocked, saved! And Egon Ayo, just like that, puts Cairo back in the lead. I can't believe what I'm witnessing. The free kick fell to Greer, who took the shot. Unback saved it, but it was right in the path for Egon Ayo. Do Atheni have time for one last miracle? No, they do not. My goodness, what a finish. Cairo City going into the last minutes of added time with a 3-2 lead. Tito Esposito thought he'd leveled it, thought he'd saved a point for Atheni. But then Ika and Io, with incredible reflexes, to put away the winning goal. My goodness. Io is, of course, your player of the match. Goals also by Grizz, Stone, Duik, and Greer. But a fantastic match all around, and you cannot take anything away from Atheni. They dominated for long stretches of this match. A very back-and-forth affair in the end. Goals by Esposito, the substitute, as well as Wince and Munoz. A classic battle here in Division 2. And my, oh my, that was an incredible match. So there you have it, 4-3 the final, Cairo snatching it at the last possible second from Atheni. And on we move to the second match on the docket today, Rova and Panyaka versus Seoul Mythic. As I said at the top of the broadcast, of course, Rova currently top of the Division 2 table. Remember, promotion working differently, but in a normal season, that would be the automatic promotion spot. So you have to think they'd be pretty pleased with how this season has gone for them. Meanwhile, as for Seoul, they know that they have to kick things into high gear if they want any chance of going up for next season. As it stands, they only have 2 points so far this season. Still time, perhaps, to turn things around, but as it stands, last in the table, you have to think it's a very daunting task. And it's a task that would have to begin here today with a win against the league leaders. We are underway here in Madagascar. And that is a very bad start for Seoul. David Doug II is going to be forced off the field here. Looks like a bit of a nasty injury is going to have to make way for the super sub, it looks like. That is an unfortunate turn of events for Seoul Mythic. But they do have that throw in there, although it's ultimately taken the other way. Here's I Love Ziegel making a run, eventually stopped by Zarek King and Brisky. Over the top, though, for I Love Ziegel. It's chested down and taken away. Scream sending it long. Rova trying again. Schwarta. Twinkle Toes gathers and tries to get it to Scream again for the long ball. This time Van Huntelrooy will bring it down. The super sub over the top for Van Huntelrooy. Takes the shot. It's off the bar. Well, that's about as close as you can get. It was a great chance for Van Huntelrooy. Scream putting in the cross. It's headed out by Grudner as Ross Bob trying to send it back to no avail. Grudner. Now to Schwarta. Walker in pursuit. Cross goes in and headed clear. And now Hyung-min on the counterattack. Walker. Cross goes in. Van Huntelrooy is there, but so is Schwarzer. Kim Hyung-min sending it back. screen. Puts the cross in. And Van Huntelrooy again, and Schwarzer once again there to stop it. Turk loses out to the super sub briefly, but Grudner able to get to it. Q over the top. Rocket to I Love Ziegel. But were they onside? VAR is skeptical. And the goal will not stand. Looks like the player was offside. Here it is again. Yes, Rocket there. Offside by a couple of feet for the assist, so no goal. There's a bit of a downer for Rova there. Grudner to Turk. Back to Plakovic, but dispossessed by Shevchenko. Van Huntelrooy. That's headed in by Luke Walker. Off that great cross by Van Huntelrooy. Dennis Van Huntelrooy at the heart of this Seoul attack right now has taken some really good shots. This time turns creator with that cross, finding Walker at the opposite post. And all Schwarzer can do is watch it sail in. So Rova going behind in this first half at home. Fern in possession. Loses out to Walker. That's a huge miscue. Walker takes the shot. And Schwarzer just about tips it behind. Walker with the quick reflexes to seize that ball. Just couldn't make it count on the scoreboard. It's another corner here for Seoul, who are ascendant right now. Ball out to Kim Hyung-min, but Plakovic able to intercept. Van Huntelrooy. Sending it all the way back to Twinkletoes in goal. Brisky over the top, finds Walker. Cross goes in. Van Huntelrooy shot held by Schwarzer. Now intercepting that pass, and now here come Rova. Turk carrying it forward. Lots of red shirts coming ahead. Seoul able to deal with it and draws the foul. Now McLeod forward to Brisky and back. That pass offline. Pau intercepts. Coming forward for Rova, and shot goes wide. Three minutes will be added on to this first 45 as Rocket gets behind the defense. Takes the shot. It falls into the hands of Twinkletoes. Not sure how that didn't go in, but Shevchenko with that free kick turns it into a corner. Looked like a couple of really good shots just there for Rova, but Twinkletoes not to be beaten just yet. And Schwarzer, for their part, claiming that one out of the air. Turk with the deep free kick. Kim Hyun-min heads out of danger, and Pau collects. Worked out to Q. Van Huntelrooy in pursuit. Grudner, Hans Grudner, has leveled it just before the half. Well, that was some tenacity to recycle that attack. Q did well to take this one Around Van Huntelrooy, through the legs, back to Grudner, who just lashes it past Twinkletoes at the near post. And that is exactly what Rova needed just before the half, as they go into the break with all the momentum and a 1-1 scoreline. Well, Seoul looked like they were the better team for most of that first half, but there toward the end, Rova really picking it up, had some excellent chances, finally took their shot, and now 45 minutes will determine the share of the points for each team. This has been an enthralling day of matches so far. If you're a neutral, I would imagine this has got to be one of the best match days in recent memory. As we kick off the second half of this match. Seoul carrying possession. Super Sub loses out though. Brisky loses out, and Rova coming forward again. Grudner carrying it into the middle. Zarek King trying to clear, but it falls back to Grudner, and that's a corner. Schwarta sends it near post, and that's headed up and away. Rocket into Ziegel. I love Ziegel. Can't quite get that past the keeper. And that one ends us up out for a throw in. That's shot by Rocket, ping behind for another corner. Less than 30 minutes to play. It's a deep free kick in Rova's own half. McLeod able to scoop that one up, but that wayward header from Ross Bob ultimately comes to Shevchenko, who sends it back to the keeper. Rova keeping the ball in Seoul's half for the moment. Ross Bob again back to Twinkletoes. And that ball out for a goal kick. Twinkletoes sending that one clear. Super Sub over the corner kick, finding Kim Hyung-min, but Plakovic able to intercept, and Pau brought down with a harsh challenge from Shevchenko. No card, but certainly not the finest moment there. Schwarta now in possession for Rova. Pau takes the shot. Jack Pau puts Rova into the lead. Well, what reflexes here. How able to take that ball, dribble it into the center, and from a long way out, absolutely belts it. And the stadium here in Antananarivo absolutely erupting at that goal as Rova now lead 2-1 over Seoul Mythic. But that ball intercepted by the super sub. Van Hontelrooy had the shot on target. A good save from Schwarzer. And now Rova once again with a corner. Diving header from Brisky to send that away. Now here's Fern, back to Fjord. Rova still in possession here. They are in the lead, but could probably do with an insurance goal if Seoul managed to strike back. Schwarta taking the dribble, pass into the middle for Grudner, who sends it back out to Q. JQ Jr. to the end line. Cross goes to Schwarta, and Twinkle Toes holds on. Less than 10 minutes to play. Rova holding on to their 1-goal lead as Schwarzer with the goal kick sends it to Fern. Turk now. Back to the keeper. Rova in no hurry to bring the ball up the field here. Now they come. Here's Schwarta. Turk through to Plakovic, but McLeod with a strong challenge. And now the counter on for Seoul potentially. Kim Hyung-min to the edge of the area, cuts inside, takes the shot, and it pings back into the path of Luke Walker. Well, that's an excellent break here for Seoul. Kim Hyung-min feinted inside, then cut back out. Fjord deflected it back onto Schwarzer, who could only parry it into the path of Walker. And that is a catastrophic moment for Rova as Seoul pull level in the dying minutes. And are they looking for a winner? Here's Starscream on the cross and that header over the bar. Grudner through to I Love Ziegel. I Love Ziegel. And Twinkle Toes takes the ball to this, holds on to the ball. Time running out at the mercy of the referee, and that is a free kick. And the referee has blown for full time. Kianjavola in shock as Rova had the lead, but ultimately have to settle for a draw against Seoul Mythic. What a shocking turn of events there at the end of the game. Seoul were the better team for at least parts of this game. A draw probably the fair result, but Rova will feel hard done by that they couldn't get at least one more goal. Still, you have to tip your cap to Seoul here. It was a very strong performance by Luke Walker, getting 2 goals, including that equalizer there in the dying minutes. And after losing David Doug II to injury very early on, it's a spirited fight back from Seoul, and a 2-2 draw, honors even in Madagascar. So with that settled, now Masques Sacré have an opportunity to close the gap in the standings. Remember, Rova first in the table at the start of the day. Masques Sacré not too far behind, really the only contender at the moment for that lead at the end of this season, barring late charges by one or more other teams. They'll have a chance to try and close that gap to Rova in this third and final match of the day as they face Montreal United. We know both Rova and Masks have a lot of talent, and they've shown as much so far this season. Masks have a really good opportunity here. Can they take advantage of it? Been a bit of a slide the last couple of games. We'll be looking to try and stop this run of bad form before it starts. Meanwhile, Montreal have, as you can see, have won their last two, it looks like. They'll be looking to try and continue their climb up the table. As it stands, Cairo currently second in the table. If Masks Sacré end up winning this match, they will reassert themselves into second and again close that gap to Rova. Here in Duikwe, Ivory Coast, Masks Sacré got us kicked off, but it's McAllister instead who has the free kick for Montreal and wins the corner. I do hope I said the city right. I apologize to all our francophones in the SSL if not. Nevertheless, it is Montreal on the attack here as Monroe takes the shot, and that's just over. Millwall sends it back. Gibraltar. And Buccaneer back to Morley. Bergman. McAllister turns and hits it up to Hay. He has been a revelation so far for Montreal, taking the touch and the shot and the goal as soon as I mentioned it. Well, Vincent Hay does it again for Montreal. McGlynn with a great pass back and just a sweet finish past Ash in goal. And Montreal take a 1-0 lead. Monroe plays the 1-2 with DeRugius, who puts in the cross, and that's Barry McGlynn. In the span of a couple of minutes, Montreal have a 2-0 lead. Well, this is stunning stuff here from Montreal. A fizzing header by McGlynn. And Masks in serious trouble here. A 1-2 punch as here is Brightscales, who gets one back immediately. Well, this has already got the makings of a classic here. An immediate response almost from Masks. Brightscales with a great run into the box and makes no mistake getting it past Hernandez. And Masks immediately cut that deficit back. Well, you'd have to wonder how the mental state of these Masks players would have been after conceding two in such a short space, but they seem to have responded well, although here come Montreal again. It's McGlynn. And Terrell clearing it just about. Ball falls back to Bergman as Montreal continue the pressure. Low cross, Moretti deals with it. Buccaneer as Montreal try yet again. Millwall into McGlynn. Black gets a foot in, but here's Millwall taking the turn around Schonk and just fires wide of the post. And neither side shy of firing at the keeper whenever they get the opportunity. Montreal with more opportunities thus far, but Masks, with their one shot, did score. As here's Monroe, who does not score. Terrell to Bright Scales off the throw-in. Ali. Forward for Bright Scales again, but Bergman this time intercepts. Now McAllister with the carry forward. Hay. Takes a knock past Moretti. Buccaneer with the cross, finding DeRugius in a lot of space. Hits it off the bar. Well, that would have been a brilliant move if it had only just gone down a little bit further. What a strike from DeRugius. That could have been so phenomenal. As it stands, Mask now carrying it forward through Eamon Aktak. Bright Scales now. Cliffgate out to Black. Through ball finding Lamb, and it's off of Carlack. Cliffgate. And if she's onside, it's an equalizer for Masks. The goal will stand. This was a great pass for Lamb, who hit the cross immediately, and that's all instinct from Carlack Cliffgate. There was absolutely nothing the keeper could do about it, as that free kick for Montreal goes behind for a corner. McAllister goes back out for Monroe, back to McAllister, who is offside. Ali. Ball forward for Bright Scales. Shipped in the air, and that ball lands with Hernandez as the fourth official indicates 2 minutes of added time. And those 2 minutes come and go very quickly as we are level here in Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire if you prefer. Regardless, it is 2-2, Masques Sacré and Montreal United currently on level terms. Well, it's been a matter of quantity over quality here so far. Montreal with a huge number of shots, not all of them on target. Masks, meanwhile, with fewer shots but much more clinical. You have to wonder which is going to prevail here today. And so Thraxi Lamour coming on for Eamon Aktak, and Wang Jihao takes over for Barry McGlynn. Jihao, the SFV Montreal veteran. Montreal clearly looking for some leadership, some experience to see them through here. Throw-in only finds DeRugius. Bergman carries it forward for Montreal. Terrell able to take it away. Black forward to Lamb. Lamb with the cross. And that's headed back out. Here's Black with a long shot, and that's well over. McAllister with the corner. Balls to Monroe, who takes the shot. That nearly trickled in. Good reflexes from Ash to be able to spot that and stop it. McAllister, another corner drilled in, and it's back out to Monroe once more. McAllister cedes possession to Chunk, who puts it out for another set piece. Montreal trying to force the issue here. Once again up into the air, and this time Ali able to send that one packing. Now at the other end, it's Lamore putting in the corner kick at the near post. Headed away, Terrell first to it. Lamore back to Terrell. Terrell takes the shot, Millwall blocks it. Chunk trying again. And Masks forced back. Morley. Wang Jihao with the through ball, but couldn't get it online for Monroe. That would have been a killer pass. It comes to nothing. Black tries the long ball up the field. It falls to Lamore. Now Lamb trying to make that run up the far wing. Nearly had Derugius beat. Lamore loses out to Buccaneer, and now the break on for Montreal. Here's Monroe. Inside for McAllister. Hay takes a long shot, and it looked like it clipped a Mets defender, so that will be a corner kick. McAllister to deliver the corner, and that's headed right at Ash, who can only parry it down, and Black able to get it away. Heart-and-mouth moment there for Montreal, or excuse me, for Masks. As here's Cliffgate at the other end, but Cliffgate is offside. Wang Jihao through ball to Monroe, gets it right this time, but Ash holds on to the shot. Not enough power behind it for Monroe. Buccaneer. And that's intercepted by Moretti. Sending it all the way back to the keeper, Ash. Just over 20 minutes to play, still knotted up at 2-2. As Terrell out to Lamore. Header behind for Cliffgate. Cliffgate tripped up by Morley. Referee says play on, and Hernandez tips it behind for a corner. Black sends it in, and Hernandez holds on to it. It looked like that might have been a penalty shout, but the referee saying play on. As here is Lamore. Chunk up for Black to Lamb. Now Lamore in the box, and that's another save. Spells of real threat from both teams as Lamore sends in another corner kick. Back out for Chunk, and that's over again. Mess went into the day second in the table. They would still be second in the table, even with a win, but would drastically close that gap as a result of Rova's draw a little earlier. Meanwhile, Montreal just hoping to try and make some headway up the table and mount a late title challenge. Here's Jihao lifting the ball over, and it's Bruce McAllister! And that could be a vital goal if VAR allows it. And it will not stand. And Masque Sacré fans breathe a sigh of relief as the goal is chalked off. There you see both McAllister and Hay offside there. Either one of them would have been ineligible to score that goal. And so with just over 10 to go, plus added time, Montreal deep in the Masks' half. McAllister trying to find a teammate, but dispossessed. Ball falls to Cameron Millwall. Monroe in the area, squares it, and that's Vincent Hay. He's got another one, and this one might be the winner. Well, tenacity on display here for Montreal. They had the chance, disallowed, and now here's Monroe again. And Hay there just in great position. You can't miss from that distance. And now Mask's in a lot of trouble here. Lamore tries to find Black and does. It's a past Monroe, low cross, and Cliffgate can't finish. And was offside anyway. Lamore trying to find Terrell, but intercepted there by McAllister. Lamore, though, does make the challenge. Here's Cat. Cliffgate back to Lamb. And Monroe with a good recovery tackle. Lamb again. Ali sending it all the way back to Ash in goal. Mask trying to find the right path forward, and that was not it. A long ball looking to find somebody over the top, but only found the defender Morley. Now DeRugias carrying it forward for Montreal. Monroe through to Wang Jihao, who takes the shot. And a great save by Ash to keep Masks in this match. McAllister. Back out to Monroe. Here's McAllister again, takes the shot, and that one might just seal it. Well, Montreal have pressed and persevered all day, and they're finally getting their reward. The ball came out to Monroe off the corner kick, who found McAllister, took the touch, managed to sneak it in behind that defensive line of Masks, and Ash trying to get down, just can't stretch far enough. And Montreal lead 4-2, and here's McAllister again, as that's headed away. Ali now nicks it off of Millwall. Masks coming forward. Might still be time for a comeback, but they'd have to do it basically now. Trying to find Cliffgate, can't do it. Cat, though, with the tackle. Here's Moretti. And that ultimately comes to nothing. And time is going to expire as Max Sacre line up for the corner kick. It won't be enough to equalize here. The 2-point goal not yet invented, as that one pushed behind by Hernandez. And the referee has seen enough. Full time, and Montreal with a big victory over Masked Sacre. Well, that is a phenomenal performance by Montreal United, and Reese Monroe will be named your player of the match for 2 assists. Vincent Hay, of course, scoring a brace. Masked Sacre were always behind in the shot count, were able to make it work, had some good finishes from Saphira Brightscales and Carlac Cliffgate. But in the end, Montreal just too much. The onslaught ultimately breaking through. Hay with a brace, as well as goals by Barry McGlynn and Bruce McAllister. And that is a huge, huge victory, as I said, for Montreal United. And that will do it for Matchday 7 here in the Minor League Division 2. Just enough time before we go to recap a very exciting match day, as well as what that does to the table going into the second half of the season. Cairo with that incredible last-second victory over Athenai, 4-3. Rova and Seoul drawing 2-2, and then we just saw Montreal upsetting Masked Sacre to move into second place in the table behind Rova. Rova still in the lead by 4 points. Montreal and Cairo level on points on 12. Montreal with the edge on goal difference there. Masked now a point behind them in 4th. And then on 3 points, we have Seoul Mythic and Athenai. Well, it promises to be a real cracker of a second half. We hope you'll join us for the rest of the way. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Metafiction. Take care.